Honorable Mr. Representative of the King, Mr. Ajar, Mr. Fares, Mr. Abdenabawi, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. I have to say it's wonderful to be back in the Red City. The moment I landed yesterday on Menara Airport, I experienced the city's magic. You can see it in the sights, in the sounds, and in the smells. For me, it felt like meeting an old friend. I visited Marrakesh 8 years ago at the start of a cycling trip with my wife. It was my first visit to the native country of many of my Dutch compatriots, including the President of the Dutch House of Representatives, Khadija Arib, and the Mayor of Rotterdam, Mr. Ahmed Abu Talib. And I must say that since then, in the last 8 years, I haven't eaten a couscous like I did in Morocco. But dear friends and colleagues, we're not here to discuss holidays and food. We're here to discuss something even more important, to exchange ideas on the independency of the judiciary. And I'd like to start by congratulating the Minister of Justice and the representatives of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary and the President of the Prosecution Office on arranging this outstanding international event. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share some thoughts with you. Now, I'm aware that I'm expected to say that an independent judiciary is a great good for everyone, everywhere, all the time. Well, in my political reality, independent judges and prosecutors can be a big nuisance too. As minister responsible for the legal system, it's my job to make a policy that's in the best interest of my country's people. So let's be honest, it can be annoying to be corrected by judges who think that they know better. Let me illustrate this with a Dutch example. In 2008, the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg ruled in the case of Saldus versus Turkey that a boy named Yusuf Saldus should have access to a lawyer during his interrogation by the police. And up until that time, the Netherlands, like Turkey and many other countries, didn't see the need to allow access to a lawyer during questioning. Our money saved, our policy saved time and money. And frankly, one of my predecessors, a former police officer, knew how effective interrogations could be without the presence of a lawyer. And at that time, I probably agreed with him, as did a large majority in Parliament. But in 2010, our Supreme Court followed the lead of the Strasbourg Court. So we had to change our system, and that took some time. Too much time, according to the Supreme Court. In a new judgment in 2015, it ordered the government to make new arrangements by the 1st of March 2016. By then, every suspect should have the opportunity to be assisted by a lawyer while being questioned by the police. A lawyer who, in many cases, is paid for by the state. Everyone in this room who has experienced something similar will agree that courts can be like a red traffic light in the morning when you're already late. Rather annoying. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, I firmly believe in the independence of the judiciary. There can be no democracy without it. Why? Let me give you my 3 main reasons. The first is about fundamental citizens' rights. These can be guaranteed only with a system of checks and balances, a system designed to prevent inequality, arbitrariness, and abuse of power. And I have to admit, from this perspective, there is something to be said for allowing access to a lawyer during police questioning. The second reason is legal certainty. Politicians come and go, but an independent judiciary is a constant factor, a stabilizing factor that ensures the law is applied uniformly. Don't forget that this stability isn't just a general standard for justice. It's also a crucial factor for business at both national and international level. People want to be sure that they see the fruits of their labor. Companies need to know what they can expect in the long run. So in the end, our economies benefit from judicial independence. It's a crucial component of the rule of law. My final argument for the independence of the courts relate to what we see here today, and that is international cooperation, especially in the fight against organized crime and terrorism. Criminals and terrorists are experts at cross-border cooperation. So we have to act. We have to act to protect our citizens, our businesses, and our values. And we have to act in concert. But our cooperation must be based on the law. And that means that we need to be able to count on each other's respect to the rule of law and trust in each other's legal systems as the basis for international cooperation. And our legal systems must be backed and guaranteed by a strong and independent judiciary. Now, you may wonder, does this mean our legal systems need to be exactly the same? Of course not. In this country, Mr. Aujar has taken an active role in modernizing the constitutional state. I know you've looked at examples in other countries, including the Netherlands. I know that your public prosecution office and judiciary were in close contact with ours in the run-up to the establishment of the Moroccan Supreme Council of the Judiciary. And ultimately, you've made your own choices, and that's good. We live in different parts of the world, we have different cultural backgrounds, and sometimes we will choose different ways to handle issues. One of the sessions in the coming days program will be devoted to the independence of the Public Prosecution Office, le ministre public. And although the Dutch Public Prosecution Service is independent, it still falls under the authority of the Minister of Justice. That means that the minister has to answer to Parliament for the actions of our prosecution service. But despite the links between these organizations, we have strict provisions in place to safeguard independency and prevent any abuse of power. In principle, the minister can only give general guidelines for prosecution. If in exceptional circumstances, the minister gives an instruction in an individual case, this has to be disclosed to the court. And if that instruction results in the acquittal of a defendant, Parliament has to be informed. This has never happened in the Netherlands. And I guess because if any minister were to give an instruction of this kind, they'd have a hard time explaining it to Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, the differences between our legal systems are interesting, and I expect we learn a lot from it today. But there are also universal values running through them. Values we need to cherish and respect wherever in the world it may be. It all starts with basic principles of human dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated equally, and the law is there for everyone. That is the essence of the rule of law. And since everyone must be treated equally, the government should be the first to abide to the law. The rule of law is based on legislation and on strong, independent institutions that provide checks and balances. including competent lawyers, a free press, vigilant human rights groups, and the like. And above all, we need leadership. It takes courage to stand up, to give room to other powers, and to respect the rule of law. And Mr. Ajar, I applaud you for that and for your great effort in that direction. I very much look forward to welcoming you in the Netherlands later on this year to continue our exchange of views and experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, quality in justice is a race without a finish. We must make every effort to promote and to protect the independence of the judiciary. It is my call upon all of you within the European Union, in the Arab world, in Africa and beyond, in an ever closer world, as pressures on our systems mount and as our interdependencies deepens, we must learn to do better, to cooperate, adjust, and reform in time, because now, more than ever before, it seems that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you very much. Sukha.